Hi, everybody. It's Jackie Schomburg-Minen. I am back from 2.5 weeks vacation. It was actually the first vacation we've ever taken with our children. First time on a plane for the kids. We went to California. It was lovely. And I came back with a bunch of souvenirs and a bunch of, just like ticket stubs and little things that remind me of where we were. And I thought today I would figure out or play with the idea of making a collage out of those things that doesn't look like I just glued a bunch of stuff to paper of my trip, right? So, like, not so on the nose that it looks like a scrapbook that a fifth grader might have made, though there's no shame in that. Um, Everything with me, for whatever reason, if it looks um, uh, too commercial for some reason, it reminds me of my fifth grade experience. So that's on me. Anyway, I took these things, lots of neutral papers. There's a bag from the San Diego Zoo Safari Park that we went to that was really cool, and little bits of paper here and there, and wanted to make something that looked good to me and also would still satisfy my need for nostalgia and sentimentality because I am a total sap when it comes to wanting to remember experiences. So in the past, I've just kept ticket stubs and glued them into books, but I wanted to try something different today. So this giant piece of black and white checkerboard tissue paper is actually from an ice cream shop we went to, and they had these giant delicious waffle cones, and I don't do dairy, so they had this beautiful what was it, coconut lemongrass ice cream that was made out of coconut milk. It was delightful. Love it. And I kept this is what they wrapped the waffle cones in. I thought that was cool. You guys know I'm a sucker for black and white. And in the interest of, we also went to Legoland when we were out there. So in the interest of the Legoland bricks, I decided I would cut some of these out rather than keep it as a full checkerboard pattern. I mean, the pattern still stayed the same, but I thought I'd make it look a little bit more like a Lego building of sorts. This is a smaller sketchbook than I normally use. This is actually a sketchbook I took to California. It didn't get a whole lot of action. Um, I probably used it 2 or 3 times, and at least two of the times were on the plane. So it's 8.5 by 5.5. It is a Canson mixed media sketchbook. This one obviously not hardcover. It's just a spiral bound one with the blue front. And you can see that I'm trying to fit that whole ticket stub in because I don't really want to cut it up. Um, it is visually appealing to me, so it's kind of there as a placeholder for now. And you'll notice when I do start gluing things down, I had been away so long that my gloss medium actually like sealed itself, and I had already cleaned it out last night and it sealed itself again. So there's very little gloss coming out of my bottle at first. Now, the first thing I did was cut that little heart out, and the striped paper that was from the back of a pin. Before we left, I bought a new backpack because after my trip to Maine, I realized that I needed a backpack to walk through the airport, not just a tote bag that I would shove full of things for the plane. So I bought myself a nice backpack, and it's a very businessy backpack because it was the best from a functionality standpoint, so I could bring my computer and whatnot. And it looked very, very corporate. And since I used to be a corporate person, I didn't want that look. I wanted to make it a little bit more fun. So I bought a ton of pins. I bought a little pin that looks like a tube of paint. I bought what else did I buy? Let me look. I bought a heart that says art inside from the Portland, Maine Art Museum. I bought a little tiny red and white cooler that says don't hate me because I'm a little cooler, which I thought was pretty funny. one that says no one is you and that's your power, because we are all unique, and that really is where our uniqueness and our genius lie. One that says kindness matters, and one that says free mom hugs. So I had a blast buying those. That little heart is from the paper that was on the backing of one of the pins I bought. I bought all the pins on Etsy. I probably paid way too much because I bought, like one pin from each store, so I ended up paying shipping across the board, but whatever. I typically don't like paying shipping, but I decided it had to happen before I used the backpack, so it was important to me for whatever reason. The kind of starburst brown paper bag with the white starburst lines coming out of the middle, that is from a shipment from a company called Clever, Clevr. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but they make these, they call them lattes. I'm drinking one right now that is a turmeric, what is it? It's a golden, oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. It's like a golden smoothie, a golden something. It's turmeric and maybe a little ginger and some pepper and some coconut milk and all good things that are supposed to be good for inflammation. The background paper in the upper right hand corner, that is not actually folded paper. That's just part of the design on the paper. It's just a magazine ad that I had that was very neutral, and it happened to be lying on my desk, so I thought I would bring that in as well. Creates a nice rest point with all of the high contrast of that checkerboard in the middle. That Legoland thing is a tag off of something my kids purchased. You can see that as I'm taking time and moving things around, I'm finding ways to include pieces in ways that aren't so obvious. So before, it literally said Legoland. It had the Lego logo on it. Now, if you look close, you'll see that one piece has that little Lego top circle, but it's not over the top. I mean, it might be over the top for some people's taste, but it's not as much of a brand placement statement. You can see me struggling with my medium, trying to get it out. And I guess I said this was tissue paper. I think that the white and black checker paper is actually more of a deli paper. But either way, I like that you can see through it. So here I wasn't sure which way to go. I typically don't do things like cut hearts out and glue things that have a defined shape onto my art, but that was the very first thing I did, and that felt meaningful, and I did feel a lot of love on my trip. It was so much fun to watch my kids play and be amazed at flying in the airplane and, be in the pool and run around and meet new friends, because my friends have kids that my kids don't remember ever meeting since they've moved away. So it was really fun to have them have new friendships too. And get to see some of my besties. I tried to put the purple in. I love the idea of yellow and purple. I just wasn't sure about these shapes together. I tried this craft paper just because it had those subtle lines from the rhino on it. It just felt very heavy to me. Especially next to the tissue paper or deli paper. It just felt very dark and very heavy. Sometimes you have to try on everything to be sure that it's not going to work. So I was looking around my desk to see what else I had and remembered that I had this, I don't know if it's perfume or cologne, probably cologne ad. And I liked the way the bottle was black and white, and it was a little bit squared off, but a little bit not squared off. So I liked the way it bridged between the very square checkerboard pattern and the softer lines of the heart and where the rays coming out of the heart. So I really liked how that fit in. A lot of what I do in my collages is fine tuning. If something almost works but not quite, I'll turn it around, I'll make it smaller, I'll fold it in half, I'll cut it into a different shape just to see if I can make it work. Sometimes it's worth doing, sometimes it's you just grab a separate piece instead. I love also on this Lego tag how the small bricks mimic, right? It's just another form of structure, much like the black and white check. But it's not the same. Obviously, it's color. It's not alternating in a very specific pattern like the checkerboard is. So it's similar, it's different, just like the cap of the cologne bottle. It's similar, but different. All right, so now I've got my medium coming out at a much better rate and attaching this. I don't know if it looks like this to anyone else, but to me it looks like the cologne cap is kind of emerging from that checkerboard pattern. So I ended up loving this design. It still has all of the memories packed into it for me, like the waffle cone and the Legoland trip. But it also completely transformed. And the funniest part to me is that it really reminds me of Southern California. And that could just be the huge influence of the checkerboard pattern. It reminds me of like skaters with Vans in the 90s, Vans shoes for those of you who are younger. Thank you so much for watching. What do you do with your souvenirs and your papers that you collect on your trips? I would love to know. And have you done something like this? Let me know in the comments. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. There's new videos every Sunday.